All right, let's continue with reviews for the Bad Batch. Today I'm reviewing episode 2 of season 1 called Cut and Run. After episode 1, of course, the Bad Batch is on the run. They need to find a place to lay low, and they know a place, and they know a person called Cut LaQuaine, who we know from the Clone Wars, and therefore, of course, the title Cut and Run. Bit of a punny title, which, it's fun. But I will say, when I first watched this episode, I was not a fan of this. Like years ago when it came out, I was just like, this isn't as good as episode 1 because, of course, at the time I really liked episode 1. Not so much anymore now, and now I know more of like how the Bad Batch operates. But yeah, this was essentially the moment where I was like, not a big fan of this one. Now, in my review for episode 1, I already talked about the fact that by season 2, this show gets better for me. And I promise that by the time I get there, my reviews are going to be a lot more positive. I'm going to be praising it a lot more. But yeah, for now, it might be a little bit rough to get through season 1 with me being mostly negative. I don't really want to be negative, but unfortunately, I have a lot of issues. There are episodes in season 1 that I do like, at least more than this one. But yeah, episode 2 unfortunately wasn't it. So anyway, the Bad Batch goes to Saleucami, and Omega gets out of the ship, and she's just looking around, and she's marveling at dirt because she's never seen anything other than Camino. So of course she is marveling at everything, and she's completely new to this galaxy, which is kind of difficult to really get into as someone who has already seen a lot of this galaxy. But in a way, it is understandable to see her like this, and I suppose that this is again like a new introduction to children these days. It's just that at this point, I am past caring about that all that much, relating to that all that much. So therefore, I feel like Omega is not the character that is for me, and that's why I have an issue with her. Like, there's a disconnect going on, and I understand that. I understand that she is for new fans, but if it really was for new fans, then why would we then go back to Saleucami and meet Cut LaQuaine and his family? Because that is very much the member berries. Because at one point, the batch sets off a trap, and they meet Cut LaQuaine and his wife, a Twi'lek. And we know these characters from the Clone Wars, Season 2, The Deserter. I said in my review for the first episode, of course, that the show does a lot of member berries. This is exactly what I mean right here. Because the Clone Wars Season 2, The Deserter, has these characters already, this family, Cut, Sue, and the children. And Rex comes there with a couple of his men. And then at the end of the episode, they're like, well, we'll keep you secret. We won't tell anyone. I suppose they told the Bad Batch, or how else did the Bad Batch find them? I don't know. They don't really explain that. Again, logic. But again, I have Asperger's, so I'm going to question this type of stuff. So I'm just like, yeah, okay. So the Bad Batch just goes here because, yes, I understand that the Bad Batch at this point are deserters too. That's what Tex says as well. But really, I'm just like, I don't think they knew each other, and I very much feel like they're put in because it's like, oh, remember this from the Clone Wars? Yes, I remember. So the Bad Batch asks Cut for help, and Cut can't really help because what is he gonna do? Like, okay, they want to lay low, but apparently Saleucami is already becoming not as lay low as they wanted, so they need to get a plan as well with their family. However, to do that, they need chain codes. There's a new system in place that the Empire implemented, so chain codes. And here we actually see our first look of Admiral Rampart in a hologram. My God, what a dick is he throughout the show. But the thing is, I was like, okay, who voices Admiral Rampart actually? And it turns out that he is voiced by Nashir Dalal. Apparently, that's his name. And when I saw his IMDb profile picture, I was like, wait, you look familiar. Turns out he voices Boda Kuna in the Jedi Survivor game. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Apparently, you voice the dick in all the Star Wars things. Of course, bit of a joke, but hey, let's be fair, you know. But yeah, it was interesting to see that connection because I literally learned that while making the review for this episode, that that's the same person. So in the meantime, Omega is playing with the kids and they're throwing the ball around, and Omega accidentally throws it past the fence. And the kids are like, well, don't get it because we'll get it later. It's dangerous beyond the fence. But Omega goes anyway because that's what Omega does apparently. And then she gets attacked by a Nexu. Now, the thing is, if I remember the episode The Deserter correctly in the Clone Wars, and I do, believe me, I've seen it quite recently, I remember that the kids in that episode would go off all the time. They would like go out and play and they would go past the fence. They would get themselves into trouble by finding like some droids that crash landed there. So back then there was no issue whatsoever of a Nexu. But now there is. Only a few years later, they're still in the same place. Why is there an Nexu all of a sudden? Well, I very much again get the feeling this is member berries. This is like, oh, member Nexu from Attack of the Clones. Yes, we get it. Shut up. Like the creators very much have like a need to shove stuff in your face, like member this, and it's like, yes, I do. Unfortunately, your member berries are conflicting with, again, the logic that I have. And I know I should give up on that, but I'm not gonna. So I'm gonna keep complaining about that. And that's just how this is gonna be. So as I said already, if you don't want to hear me complain about the show, you should not watch my videos because I'm going to continue to do that as long as it bugs me. Because I very much just get the feeling that in this specific case, like member berries and fan service in any kind of way is fine as long as it doesn't interfere with previously established things that are logically supposed to be something. I don't know how to explain it honestly, but I think I'm making some sense. It's like we have something established in the past that we return to in a future thing, and it's changed. And it's only changed because the show creators are like, let's force some member berries into it. And I'm just like, can we not do that? It's honestly the only thing I ask. Just don't interfere with logic, please. So with these chain codes being a thing, it's like, well, Tech, can you make these chain codes? And Tech's like, oh, well, I didn't know anything about them, but yes, I can do this. Okay, that was quick and easy. If anyone knows Ryan George and his pitch meetings on YouTube.
Actually, it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really?
Yeah, it very much seemed like a situation like that. Like, it's so easy for them to just, oh yeah, chain codes, that's not going to be an issue at all. Okay, it just works out like that, I suppose. However, Tech is supposed to be like quite smart, and he comes up with a plan. But before he actually discusses the plan of like, oh yeah, we're going to make sure that the Marauder is impounded, he actually might want to take a look around on the Marauder and the fact that Omega is there, because he just went ahead with the plan without checking the Marauder whatsoever. Like, okay, the Marauder is a small ship. Also, on the other hand, Omega was right there and she could have probably hurt them. But no, because the plot has to continue. And look, I understand these episodes need to be somewhat short and therefore the plot needs to move forward, but this I very much felt like, oh yeah, I thought Tech was the smart one and the one who thought ahead, but no. So of course the ship is impounded and Tech and Echo get to work getting the chain codes, and the rest gets in line and they have to essentially wait for the chain codes. Omega decides to help out and she gets into her shenanigans, and seriously, Omega shenanigans are going to be a thing throughout all of these episodes because she does this a lot, where she just goes off on her own doing whatever the hell she wants. Sure, you can do that, I suppose. In the end, it does help. It might just not have been the smartest thing for her to do. But of course, Omega's young. She still needs to learn. I understand that. And then, of course, Hunter has the plan to ditch her. I mean, leave her with Cut and his family. Now, yeah, it's episode 2, and this is one of the main characters. We're not going to ditch one of the main characters in the second episode. So, come on. We're smarter than that. I'm just not a big fan of the fact that Hunter just wants to get rid of her. Like, it seems a way too easy solution to a problem that, Hunter should be able to deal with this. It starts to also make me not like Hunter all this much. And believe me, that's only going to get worse. I'm not a big fan of Hunter whatsoever. I think he's not that great of a character whatsoever. So the Bad Batch gets into a blaster fight with the clones. Somehow Omega managed to get back from, the security checkpoint after passing it. I'm not going to question this, even though I really want to, but I'm not going to. And, well, of course, she gets back to the Bad Batch because she's like, I want to stay with you guys. Okay, cool. Cut and his family get onto the shuttle and make it off-world, and the Batch also gets off on the Marauder. Then we see Wrecker use a gonk droid as a weightlift. I thought that was funny. And of course, Omega and Hunter are talking about like how they need to adjust to each other, because of course Hunter needs to be a more parental figure towards Omega, and Omega, well, she's a kid and she needs to learn. Makes sense. I do think it's a good lesson at the end. I wasn't a particularly big fan of the journey, but the lesson is good. And that is the second episode of The Bad Batch. And, well, as I already stated, there are episodes with issues. This is one of them. You might not like what I'm going to have to say, but I do want to ask, stick with me until season 2. It will get better. We will get there. But yeah, second episode, not a big fan. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you liked it more than I did, if you think I missed anything, that I was wrong about anything, just let me know in the comments below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to my channel for more Star Wars content, follow me on social media as well, and of course, until the next video, may the Force be with you.